What's up everybody at home watching? This is ADHD Culture, and today we're going to be showing you our top 10 out of each of our shoe collection.
We're going to go ahead and get right into reviewing both of these shoes on both sides for you guys. But before we do that, we think the only way to decide who goes first is going to be a classic coin flip. Who's going to be heads and who's going to be tails?
I'm going to take heads.
I'll take tails then. Oh, and it's heads. Alright, so I guess that means Angela's the one that won the coin flip. She's the first to pick out of her shoes, and she's going to show us what she has to offer first.
Okay, so the first shoe out of my collection today that I'm going to be bringing out are going to be the Off-White Dunks, lot 16 of 50. These are going to have that long hair, gray suede all over the shoe against that white synthetic leather underneath the shoe as well. It does have that classic zip tie. Virgil, of course, has to throw on all of these, which is such a beautiful detail on the shoe.
And you gotta love that cream outsole.
Exactly, yeah, really cool, because it gives it that vintage look to it. Now you can see these shoes are really worn. I am not afraid to wear this shoe at all. There's a couple of stains on here. It goes down to a couple of coffee stains on here that you might catch. But I feel like it gives it that really vintage look to it. It makes it look even cooler than the shoe did before, exactly. The teal blues on these are really awesome because it makes that foam pop out on that tongue a lot more. So it's a really cool detail in there.
Yeah, it's dope because it has like the teal hits and then it has like the royal blue hits too.
Exactly. Obviously, one of the coolest things from the lots too is gonna be that different color marble underneath. All of them will have that different color for each of the lots. So I think that's a really cool detail on the shoe as well.
My turn, and for my first review, I'm going to do the Supreme Dunk Lows in the all black with gold stars variation. This is a dope shoe. I mean, it pretty much looks like a panda. It's a lot different than a panda though. There's a lot more differences in the textures and the leather that they use. It's a little bit higher quality leather for the white toe box part, and all the black layers have this like fake croc leather on it, which is super dope. I love that. It's a huge upgrade from a panda for sure. And it's by one of your favorite brands, Supreme. So you gotta love that for sure. Aside from like the little gold stars and stuff that you see on it, there's a bunch of gold accents like the Nike SB logo here, the Nike on the back. Okay, so there's even the gold little lace lock on here too, which is super dope. So all those accents go together.
Okay, so for my second pair of shoes, I'm gonna keep with that off-white going on right now. And it's gonna be the Off-White University Reds. You're gonna see this is gonna be the full leather versus having a mix of the leather versus suede like his lots did in the last one. So it has that university red on here, and then it has the wolf gray as well, which is a really cool look up against that red there.
Nice accents.
Exactly. Sure. I really like how he did that over branding aesthetic of this shoe too, because you can see it on both sides as well. Like you're gonna see where it came from, the year, and the shoe make as well. It also has the second overlay of laces on these. In the last one I didn't mention it, you did see that on there as well, but you can see the rope laces on here. Super cool detail on this shoe. Probably one of my favorite parts of the shoe as well.
The bungees are awesome.
Exactly. And then that classic zip tie on here as well. You can see I've stepped on my shoe a few times too, so the zip tie does get tighter as you do that. I just have really small feet, so I feel like I'm a little bit careless about that part, but I still feel like it looks really cool with that extra zip tie hanging off of it.
It's hard to do the whole off-white thing when you're a tiny size.
Exactly. It's such a cool shoe. With the bungees, it keeps that crease too less noticeable. I have been wearing these a lot, probably my most worn off-white shoe.
All right, so the second pair of shoes in my collection that I'm gonna be showing off today is gonna be the Polaroid Dunks. This is a shoe that you probably heard us talk about before, and you're probably gonna hear us talk about again. It's a dope pair of Nike SBs in collaboration with the company Polaroid that makes cameras, as you know, and amongst other things. But this collaboration is awesome for many reasons, one of them being just the colorway in general, the way that they designed the shoe, and they designed the flat black up here and the white in the back. The flat black is kind of like the soft suede, and the white is kind of like a hard leather compared to that. And then we have like some of these like transparent see-through checks on the side too that kind of separate those things. That's another super dope feature. Kind of creates a rainbow with one of the translucent checks that we have here. And what's cool about this shoe is that it has different laces that come with it. I have black and white on mine to kind of give it that yin yang effect, but it does come with every color of the rainbow in the lace sets too, which is insane. I've never seen that in a pair of shoes, so I was super excited to see that.
So for my third pair of shoes, and this will probably be my last pair of off-whites that I'm going to be talking about right now, but it's going to be the off-white Air Max 90s, the Desert Ore colorway. This is a really cool shoe. It has all the deconstructive aesthetic to it, where it has mixed materials all over the shoe. You are going to see some suede, some synthetics, some mesh, the leather on here as well, which is really cool because you get a mixture of all of these all in one shoe.
It's the best of all worlds.
Exactly, and although it looks like a deconstructive shoe, I feel like because of the color they chose on this, that classic brown tan color on here.
Almost like a military like tan.
Exactly, it gives it that classy look to it. I do love the enlarged check mark on here as well. It's really bright too. And then they add this little jade tab right here as well that you can see, just like the dividers, like when you go to school, keep all your stuff separate.
That's something that I didn't really realize about Off-White in general, is that the fact that those things are, all the things that he uses are kind of like industrial, or if they're not industrial, they're based off of something that we've seen in school, like the dividers. That's such a dope detail. Really
cool detail. And then, of course, back to the zip tie, we're gonna have it right here. And it has that pale retro, like vintage looking feel to it, which I think is a really nice touch next to that really bright mango looking color next to it.
Even plays off the tans pretty well too.
Definitely.
All right, the third shoe on my list is a pretty special shoe to me. I love this pair of Dunks. Although it's not an SB, I'm not dissatisfied with this shoe and how it looks and how it turned out. This shoe is an amazing shoe called the City Market Dunks. It's a pretty awesome shoe for the main reason that it is patched together with all of these different like grocery bags from different like markets and different places. The shoe's completely patchwork together with all this stuff that is almost like eco-friendly like materials from grocery stores. It's super awesome. It has a clear check on it, which kind of adds to that like almost like grocery bag type of feel to it too. It has a clear net tongue to it as well, and the clear net tongue is crazy because on a rainy day, everybody knows that feeling when you want to cover up your shoes and you don't want them to get muddy or messed up, and sometimes you just don't have anything to protect your shoes. But in this case, you always have something to protect your shoes. On the inside of the tongue, you can actually unzip the tongue and out comes a shopping bag from the inside of it.
And it has them in both, right?
It has them in both sides. I'm not going to completely unfold the shopping bag because it's kind of hard to get back in there after you've done that. So I'm going to put these back in and zip them up. But that's just one of the other details that makes me love this shoe.
It gives that tongue that fat look to it too when you just let that bag sit in there.
Yep. It makes it look almost as if it was an SB. And usually they pull out all the stops for the SBs and they trick those out like crazy. But this is not the case with this shoe. It's just a regular Dunk, but they went a little bit wild on it, and it definitely paid off for sure. Every detail about this shoe is pretty awesome, and I don't know, to me, as a person that kind of associates himself with almost a hippie vibe, this definitely gives off that hippie vibe for sure in the shoe.
Okay, so for my next pair of shoes, I'm gonna be bringing out Where the Wild Things Are, Jordan 4s. These are a really cool shoe. They did only come out in youth sizes or preschool sizes, so unfortunately.
So lucky.
Yeah, exactly. Not a lot of people were able to cop this shoe. Luckily enough, my foot is small enough to where I can squeeze into something like this. I really like that classic like tan, almost bone color to it, or cell looking color to it. It has the fur collars all around the shoe, as well as the tongue and the shoelaces.
That's so dope.
Exactly, just to add like our favorite childhood book. Exactly, just
Yeah.
like Where the Wild Things Are. It gives you that
Get a
character.
furry animal-like shoe.
Exactly. I really like how they have the different mismatched like eyelets on each side of the shoe as well. You can obviously tie your shoelaces on there. I like having them just kind of hanging on the side.
Gotta let it hang.
Exactly. Another one of my favorite things too is going to be the mismatched insoles on both of them. You
I
can
just
see
noticed that. Too.
exactly.
I didn't notice that until you had them sitting down, and I saw the insoles, and I was like, "Holy crap! Dude,
Yes.
That's insane."
Yeah, it's a really cool detail. It has the red versus the blue. I do wear these a lot as well, so you can see my Jumpman's already coming out on one of them, but they're still there. So it's a really cool shoe. I like that brown gum sole as well.
Yeah.
Just gives it that fall winter shoe, definitely, and this is
Yeah.
my go-to for that.
All right, so number 4 on this list is going to be the Nike SB Dunk P-Rod. This is an epic shoe in my collection. Probably one of my favorite of all time. Not even just in my collection, to be honest, because this shoe is probably one of the coolest designs when it comes to shoes, period. It's based off the what the type of feel where the shoe is patched together with other parts of shoes, except this one's a little bit different for the main reason that it's one of every Nike SB P-Rod that's ever came out. So each part of the shoe, each panel is a different panel from each of the Nike SB Paul Rodriguez editions, and it has even little details from each of the shoe, like this fighting ring right here, and it has a bunch of other little details, like these details on the tongues where each of them are different tabs even, and even has different shoe lock on this as well. These shoes are great design, and honestly Paul Rodriguez is one of my favorite skaters too, so getting my hands on this pair felt so awesome.
Okay, so for the next pair of shoes that I'm going to be talking about is going to be the Sean Witherspoon Super Turf Adventure Jiminy Crickets. Obviously, as the name says, it's going to be the Jiminy Cricket Disney edition on there, so you will see that underneath the zipper of the tongue on each of the shoes. It also is going to have that purple corduroy base underneath that whole shoe, which is a really cool detail in my opinion, because you can see the accents going through the whole entire shoe down to the tongue as well. You can see it has these 3 welded stripes along the side in green that I think make that shoe pop up a lot more than others do. And the really cool detail that's speckled underneath that orange right there, which I think adds that very childlike effect to it, which is very raw shoe, super awesome. On the other side, you do get the little pouch on there with that different colored shoelace. I can change the shoelaces if I wanted them to match, but I really like that blue underneath. Super cool is the pouch is actually detachable as well, and it comes with a lanyard that you can hang around your neck for like an extra accessory if you wanted to do so.
So up next with my 5th pair of shoes on the list, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the Off-White Lot 20 of 50. This is a dunk that Virgil designed himself, obviously. Being the owner of Off-White, he always puts his touch on everything that he does, no matter if it's a collaboration with Nike, with Louis Vuitton, or various other brands we've seen him do collabs with in the past. This one has a really dope feel to it. Obviously, we've seen Angela review another pair of these. We're in love with dunks, and we're in love with Virgil's design, so that's why we have a bunch of these sitting in our collection. Not very much different besides the colorway that we see here. Everything is pretty much the same. It's the same long-haired gray suede on it with the synthetic leather and the hang tag. This one is a little bit different because of the color variations. Angela's had a teal bungee with some blue tongue and the blue
Zip tie as well.
Zip tie as well on hers. But this one has a gray bungee on it. It has the green tongue on it, and it has the green zip tie on it as well. So those are the differences in this shoe compared to her edition. And this is probably one of my favorites in my collection just because of the colorway, because of how the green plays off of the grays, and because of how simple the shoe is. I think that honestly, overkill in design isn't always what we're looking for, especially when we're talking about an off-white shoe. Simplicity is always key.
Okay, so for my next pair of shoes, I'm gonna bring out another Sean Weatherspoon. Now this one's really cool. It is gonna be a triple collab. So as I said, it's gonna be a Sean Weatherspoon shoe collabed with Atmos as well as Adidas. What I really like about when Adidas and Sean Weatherspoon collab is they have a pattern that they already follow, which is just a really bold frame around the shoe.
It's usually like a hiking shoe or something.
Exactly, as well as keeping it very eco-minded friendly as well. So you can see everything's gonna be a lot of that recycled material more than anything. You're still gonna get that cork insole on the inside of each of these shoes, which is really cool. And it has this glitter pattern on the sides of each of these shoes. You might not be able to catch it very much, but as you come closer, you're able to see it a lot more.
It's a really subtle detail that pays off.
Exactly. It has those speckles just like the last pair of shoes that I did show. I really like this one though because it has that black with white or gray up against it. It still has a base of the corduroy, except this one we're going more of that gray color versus just that white or off-white color in it. And it still has those two pouches on each of the shoes, which I really like that exaggerated look to the shoe. So you can, like you said, they're a very outdoor hiking shoe as well. And then you can also remove each of these pouches just like the last ones, and it has lanyards in each of them if you want to wear them around your neck as well.
Keeping the theme going with off-white shoes, we got another pair of off-white dunks here. This is lot 14 of 50, and we already kind of know the story with these long hairy suede on them. We got the synthetic leather, the bungees. Obviously these are different, but I mean, we love off-whites over here. I know we're reviewing a lot of them, but at the same time, these are shoes we love to wear. These are shoes we wear all the time. I know it's kind of crazy to wear an off-white. A lot of people are scared to wear it, but if you want to go with one to put on your feet, I think these are probably one of the best pairs. There's lots out there. There's lots of different colorways. So if you can grab your hands on a few of these pairs and wear a few of them, why not? You know, this is a super dope pair to put on feet. And this is a more loud pair. I think this one definitely has some more crazy colors compared to the other ones. But if you're feeling like that's the type of day that you want to do, you can go ahead and throw those on your feet and act a little bit wild.
And the last ones too, we did forget to mention, and obviously you're gonna be able to see, but all of them will have that word in parentheses with the shoelaces up against those. And I think that's a really cool detail because you can actually see them a lot more with the way you tied yours versus just tying them the traditional way. So I think that's a really cool detail on how you tie your shoelaces.
And it's kind of awesome. It kind of brings you back to like going to school when you would label everything, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
So again, even with like the dividers and the labeling and stuff, he brings you right back to going to high school or maybe even middle school, elementary, where everything was organized.
Okay, so for my next shoe, I'm gonna bring out the Adidas Sean Weatherspoon EQT 93s, the Super Earths. I really love this shoe. My favorite part's gonna be that mesh overlay on top of that whole shoe on here. It also has these floral motifs hanging at the very back, just like the other ones do. The thing that I like about these a little bit better though is they don't hang as far as the other ones. You can obviously cut the other ones if you wanted to.
And they're placed a little bit higher up on the heel to make them more wearable.
Exactly, you're not stepping on them as much. Another really cool feature about this shoe is gonna be the rainbow eyelets to hold the rope shoelace on here, which like I said, the shoelace as well, it's not gonna be that traditional shoelace. It's more of that rope texture to it.
Yeah, and it has the lace lock attached to it.
Exactly, and then it has it right there and on the other one as well. You can see underneath the mesh, there is some detail there as well that you can follow throughout the back side of the shoe. And then you come around to this side and we get that green underneath the mesh versus the purple on the other side. Really cool feature about both of these shoes too is it does have the, very similar to the pouches he attaches on his other shoes, except it's gonna be on the tongues, just like your CD markets kind of do. These don't have a bag inside of them, unfortunately, but you can stuff things inside of there.
Stuff things.
And then we also have that cork insole, just like the last ones did. One of the details too on these, a lot of people don't notice, but I really like too, are gonna be the 3 stripes along the side of each of the shoe. These ones are in red, these will be in blue. And then on the other side, it'll just have that plain all white look to it. And then you can see the stitching as well on the shoe of each of these, which is a really cool detail that it brings all around the side of the shoe as well.
The next shoe that I'm going to go ahead and talk about is the Magnus Walker Ashadwar collaboration Nike SB Dunk. These are a little bit different from not only the dunks you've seen, but a lot of the shoes that you've seen in recent history. These shoes are actually a throwback to like a vintage pair of dunks, and they have more of a basketball feel to them, as well as the design that we have to speak about. The design is pretty cool because Magnus Walker, a Porsche designer, actually designed these shoes for Ashadwar, who's also a Porsche fan, and he used lots of different aspects from his favorite Porsche and put them onto this shoe. Even parts of the shoe resemble parts of panels from the Porsche, and there's even the inside parts that are different colored. They're different colored plaid patterning to resemble the inside of a car that he has as well, that also has this plaid patterning. Their shoe for Ashadwar, which is a pro skater in Nike, and he really loves Porsches as well, so I'm guessing that's the reason why he went to him to do this. The other cool thing about these shoes is that this flaky vintage outside leather that's cracked already actually flakes off, and it's gold underneath to resemble, again, a Porsche that he had that originally started out as gold, and then he painted this paint job over it. So same thing with the car as with the shoes. If you chip off that paint underneath, you'll have a gold exterior.
So for my next pair of shoes, I'm going to be bringing out the Adidas Superstar by Sean Witherspoon Super Earth. These are going to be the all black ones. They do have an all white version as well. I'm a bigger fan of the all black ones. It gives me that chalkboard feel to it, like a kid just kind of scribbled on a chalkboard and they made it into a shoe. So it will have that black synthetic leather all around the outside of the shoe, as well as the cork insole, just like the other ones obviously do as well. Really cool details. You can tell he just keeps it pretty much distressed on this one. There's no extra stitching on the tongue to waste any material on here, as well as the extra tassels on the bottom. This is the other shoe I was talking about compared to the previous ones, is these don't cut off the bottoms of them. So they do have that extra length on each of these sides. This shoe is mostly gonna be natural rubbers or a little bit of waist rubber as well. So it is an all eco-friendly shoe. And you're gonna see we're gonna have our Super Earth attachments on each of these shoes as well, which is a really cool detail. And you can remove them if you want to, but I think it adds onto the shoe definitely. So I'd rather wear them than take it off.
This is going to be one of the only pairs of Jordans in my top 10 collection, and the reason why this shoe is in my top 10, and it's a little bit different than all the dunks you've seen, is because this shoe is pretty much what started it all for me. When I was young and I was growing up, even just a baby, my dad always kept me laced in the best shoes. My dad always had to get me the best drip, no matter if it was shoes, swag, whatever it was, he always had me laced up. So this was one of the first pair of shoes that we actually have a picture that we're gonna go ahead and pop up right here of me in them when I was younger, maybe about 3 or 4 years old. This was one of the shoes that kind of started it all off for me. I saw that baby picture, I was already into shoes, so I went out right away and I grabbed this pair. It's a pretty awesome pair of shoes, but for me it's more nostalgic than anything. The Jordan 13s are pretty awesome in themselves. This is the Flint colorway, which is really awesome because they're one of the original colorways that came out in this variation. There's a red one now too, but this is the OG, and this is a retro of obviously a shoe they did in the past. This shoe is pretty cool. The details on it are awesome. It has the white leather along with the 3M trimming on it, and it actually has this mesh side lining, and everybody loves this cool little cat eye that comes on the side of the 13s. So this shoe it's awesome. It's a great shoe, and it has a near and dear place in my heart because these were one of the first shoes that confirmed to me I've always been a hype beast.
So for my next pair of shoes I'm going to be talking about are going to be the Gundam Nike SB Dunk Highs in the Banshee colorway. I really like this shoe because it does definitely give that sci-fi feel to it, where it has that mixed metallics on there of golds with silver and that orange feel to it. It's a really cool detail, really makes it feel like you're watching it in person, just seeing the shoe transformed into it.
It feels like your foot is a robot.
Exactly. One of the really cool details on this shoe is going to be that orange stitching that they do follow across the whole midsole that I think makes that shoe pop a lot more. And I really like that black and blue gray tones on this shoe because it mutes down that orange metallic feel to it. We're gonna see the check marks here. We're gonna have the all gold on one side as well as this side. And then on the outsides right now, I do have that bronze check mark on here, and I have the gold one on the other side. But as you can see, they are Velcroed on here, so you can change out each of the check marks if you wanted to, and either mix match them or just keep that same colorway going around that both sides. So depending on my outfits, I'll sometimes throw on the gold ones or I'll mix them so I can wear gold and orange tones versus just having to stick to one. So it's a really cool shoe that you get to play with, especially with those extra details on there.
All right, so nearing the end of my list, we're coming out with some bangers, and I think this is probably one of the most, if not the most, hype shoe in my collection because it is the Nike SB Dunk in collaboration with Travis Scott. This is a super dope shoe. I honestly don't like Travis Scott as much as I like these shoes. These shoes are awesome. They're one of his greatest creations in shoes, music, art in general. He put a lot of his work and put a lot of his soul into this pair of shoes, and I think it also speaks to me a lot. These shoes relate to me a lot. And as far as design goes, I think that this is probably as flawless as you can get it. He designed a lot of different things in contrast with each other to make a great shoe, a very fashionable shoe too, if you ask me. Has a lot of great details like the bandana print on it, the plaid print with the black check, and then when you swing it around to the other side, you also get this pink check that in contrast with the tan colors and the kind of creamy like brown colors that we see on here, it does super well. One of the other cool details about this shoe is the rope laces, which you don't really get to see with any laces out there. I've never really seen this in any Dunks and any pair of Nikes in general. They don't do this too often, so having this on your pair of shoes kind of sets you apart, makes you a little bit different when you're looking at your feet for sure.
Okay, so for my last pair of shoes, I'm gonna keep it really simple and just go down to my Nike Dunk Lows. These are gonna be an SB shoe, and they're gonna be the all wheat colorway. It's not very much to go about this shoe, but that color is just really classy looking. I love that brown sole on the bottom with that tan at the very bottom of the shoe. That does make it pop a lot more. This is gonna be my go-to shoe for all of my outfits. You can see I do wear these a lot. I am not afraid to throw this shoe on. It's a really cool shoe. It has that really thick tongue on here too that gives it that skater feel to it, which I love.
And it just makes it more comfortable.
Exactly. I really love the tongue though, just because I love wearing cargos. I love wearing loose pants, things that are big. So being able to see that tongue, that's one of my favorite things about this shoe.
It helps your outfit.
Exactly. It's just a very classy shoe, more like a work shoe even, gives you that work boot type of feel.
Yeah.
Even Carhartt.
Yeah, like Carhartt put their hands on.
Exactly. So it's a really cool tone. I really like this shoe. Just my go-to for sure.
So this is the very last shoe on my list, and it is definitely a banger. Probably one of my favorite pairs of shoes of all time, even, definitely. This pair of shoes is really special to me. They're the MF Doom Dunks, and these are awesome. I mean, they're based off of an artist that makes very abstract hip-hop music. He's probably one of the best artists when it comes to hip-hop, and one of the best lyricists when it comes to hip-hop as well. But he did this shoe in collaboration with Nike SB. This shoe is around or over 13 years old. So as you can see, There is yellowing on the bottom of the shoe already. It's a pretty old pair, so that just comes with it. But I have this pair. This is a used pair that I've already worn a few times. And I actually have a dead stock pair of these as well. There's a pretty funny story behind how I got my hands on 2 pairs of these. Because I actually got the used pair for a really good price. But I unfortunately one day was surfing through StockX. I was comparing the prices of used shoes to a brand new pair of MF Dooms in the same size that I had. I don't know what happened. I ended up fumbling my fingers or something. I don't know what ended up happening. But I found myself looking at the final sales prices, and then I just found myself on a final sale receipt. So out of nowhere, right after purchasing a big pair of sneakers, even used, these are pretty expensive, I bought a brand new pair of these exact same shoes, literally days after getting these pair of shoes. So after that, I went and researched everything, tried to find out if I could return the shoes. Obviously, we know there's no returns on StockX. Once you get your shoe, you got your shoe. You got to sell it if you don't like it. So I had another pair of shoes that I just bought on the way to me, and I was so scared. I didn't know what to do. I told my girlfriend, I was like, please do not be mad at me. I bought this pair of shoes. I did not know it was going to go through. And of course she thought I was lying. She thought I was just wanting to get another pair because I liked them so much. But it truly was an accident. I don't know how I ended up with 2 pairs, but they came in from StockX. They're completely authentic. I legit checked them myself, as well as having a couple apps do their work on it too. And I ended up with a dead stock pair of MF Dooms and a used pair of MF Dooms after the whole thing. But in my opinion, it was kind of a win because I bought them at a certain price and they went up almost $1,000 in value since then. So I'm pretty happy with my purchase, and I'm pretty happy that I have 2 pairs of these. Also, these pairs really mean a lot to me because growing up, my father was the one that introduced me into MF Doom. He put me onto it, and after that, I fell in love with the music. I fell in love with every single song, every discography he's ever written, he's ever produced, all the beats, all the lyrics, everything A to Z. I'm a huge MF Doom fan, and it's because of my dad. So growing up, I always looked at these shoes and I had to get my hands on them. When I saw them in person, I grabbed them as soon as I could, and then ended up with 2 pairs.
Okay, so for this last portion of the video, how about we do something fun and let you go ahead pick out your favorite shoe out of my collection, and I can pick one from yours.
Okay, that sounds good. Let's go ahead and do it. So for my favorite out of your collection, I'm definitely gonna go with the UNLV Off-White Dunks. These are an awesome pair of shoes. I know they're really sought after as well. They're probably one of the coolest colorways when it came to this shoe. And also, I like this shoe because there's a bit of history in it. I feel like Virgil did the V1s with these when he came out with the university colorways, and he kind of had a great idea doing these, and then he took it to the Off-White lot dunks. And I feel like he kind of perfected what he did here on this shoe, with the bungees, with the creasing, with everything going on in it. He did a lot better of a job when he did this. But I think that it's awesome to have the origin story in your collection as well.
Not to mention, you actually did gift me these too for my birthday. So I definitely love that you picked this as one of your favorites because I love that. So if it's not obvious, my favorite shoe out of your collection is gonna be the City Markets. I do really like this shoe. I'm really into the vintage retro look of shoes. So I really think that plastic look all around the shoe gives that feel to it. And I love all the different colors. You can really wear any colorway you want as far as your outfit with this one. Like I've seen you wearing yellow tones, reds, the greens, the blues. So it's a really cool shoe that I can see you mix up with a lot more outfits than maybe other shoes that you have.
That's true. And at the same time, keeping the theme going, you also gifted me these shoes as well. So I love that. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode of us going through our top 10 picks of our shoes. These are pretty much shoes we wear every single day, if not every other day. I think I can't stress this enough. You should wear your shoes. always wear your shoes, especially if that's what you're spending your money on. If you spend the money on them, you gotta wear them.
And I hope you guys enjoyed seeing us pick each other's favorite from each other's collection.
If you enjoyed viewing the video, go like, comment, and subscribe.
For now, we're signing off. We are
ADHD
ADHD Culture.